Hello, I'm Antonio Mora. This is the News and News.com Day in Brief on Tuesday, January 29th at about 6 p.m. President Trump must be wondering if anyone agrees with him anymore. Today, his Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, publicly contradicted his boss on several fronts in testimony before the Senate Intelligence Committee. Coats claimed that North Korea is not likely to give up its nuclear weapons, Iran is not yet trying to get nukes, and while ISIS has been severely weakened, it still commands thousands of fighters in Iraq and Syria and will continue to attempt attacks on the West, including the U.S. Even more important, Coats, along with the heads of the CIA and FBI, pointed out that China and Russia are competing more intensely with the U.S. in a race for technological and military superiority, and that they are, quote, more aligned than at any time since the mid-1950s. The intel community believes both China and Russia will attempt to interfere in the 2020 election. Mention that next time someone argues we're not in the middle of a new Cold War. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell also broke with Trump. He's pushing an amendment to a Middle East policy bill that would recognize, quote, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and their affiliates in Syria and Afghanistan continue to pose a serious threat to us here at home. The bill would oppose Trump's call for a withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria. Unless you're one of those crazy scientists who move to Antarctica for a few months a year, you probably wouldn't want to live in the South Pole. Well, get ready, because temperatures in parts of the Midwest will be even colder than Antarctica's tomorrow. The temperatures will be life-threatening and, in the most extreme cases, could cause frostbite in minutes. 75% of Americans will suffer below freezing temperatures this week. Of course, Trump couldn't resist but used the polar vortex to mock climate scientists. This time, it was NOAA who disagreed with him, arguing that winter storms do not prove global warming is a myth. For now, Trump can count on Roger Stone. His longtime friend was arraigned today in a D.C. federal court where Stone pleaded not guilty to a series of charges, including obstruction, witness tampering, and making false statements. His court appearance was another circus, filled with supporters, but also opponents who chanted, "Lock him up." Trump is reportedly likely to ignore establishment Republicans and declare a state of emergency if Congress won't fund his border barrier. A report from the Congressional Research Service, Congress's think tank, indicates there are ways for him to fund a wall, but that it's unclear if he can order the military to build it. Any move by Trump under an emergency declaration would almost certainly end up in court. British Prime Minister Theresa May keeps surviving critical votes in Parliament on Brexit. Today, she narrowly escaped winning a vote that could have delayed the exit from the EU. However, she also said she would ask the EU to reopen the Brexit deal, and the EU has repeatedly said it won't. The Maduro dictatorship is squeezing Venezuela's U.S.-recognized President Juan Guaidó. Prosecutors moved to bar him from leaving the country and to freeze his bank accounts. It's another in the human rights violations that are commonplace in Venezuela. The UN Human Rights Office is again calling out the Maduro regime for its abuses, saying more than 40 people have been killed during the recent protests and 850 others have been detained, including 77 children. It's too late now, but Maduro should have been more careful in picking his friends. Russia, Cuba, China, and Iran are among Maduro's top allies, working hard to keep his dictatorship in power despite increasing domestic and international pressure. But the Russians are making it clear that the bankrupt country must pay its debts to Moscow on time. Good luck now that the U.S. has sanctioned Venezuela's oil industry. Stocks on Wall Street ended mixed today, but this afternoon Apple reported slightly better than expected earnings, even though iPhone sales dropped. The company warned that its second quarter results could be below estimates. Still, shares of Apple rose in after-hours trading. In our alternate universes segment, the great divide between conservative and liberal media, count me among the mystified who simply cannot understand how, on a day when intelligence officials contradicted the president on security policies and a polar vortex is going to paralyze tens of millions of people with unbearably cold temperatures, CNN kept focusing more on Roger Stone and the 2020 election. That election is more than 600 days away. I'm already tired of it. Well, it must have felt like 600 days for a poor housekeeper who works at a New York City billionaire's Upper East Side townhouse. She got trapped in its elevator on Friday and spent the whole weekend in the lift before she was rescued. Talk about a claustrophobic's ultimate nightmare. We have all the stories and much more updated around the clock 7 days a week on newsandnews.com, where you will find all you need to know in one place. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the right of your screen just below this video. Please follow us on Facebook at Real News and News, and follow me on Twitter at AMoraTV. I'll see you again tomorrow.